Tell me your name, your age if you're comfortable, your occupation, and where you live.
Okay, I'm Scott Temple. I'm 68. I am a musician at the end of his career, scaling that down, and also a woodworker, totally for my own enjoyment, though I approach it much the way I would work done at a professional standard. And I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, having come here from New York City.
Wonderful. Okay, now you'll have to choose either woodworking or music for this, but tell me something that has it can be anything, actually, in your field, it could be out of your field, which has greatly influenced your creative life. For instance, it can be a musician or a composition or a woodworker, but one thing that has greatly influenced your creative life.
Don't turn that on just yet. I have to think.
That's okay. Thinking is allowed.
And I'm probably going to not answer the question. I'm not going to choose between the
Okay.
two. Okay, go ahead, hit that.
Go ahead.
So as a creative person, you know, most of my life was spent as a professional musician, and now I'm in my act two, which is a woodworker. Both of these things, I came to both of these activities when I was early in my teenage years, and they both fascinated me, and I knew that I wanted to spend part of my life doing each. And you know, music was my professional career. It made the bucks, and now I am doing this other thing that fascinated me, and as I wish. I think in both cases, hearing certain pieces performed, hearing the sound of an orchestra, or seeing a beautiful piece of woodworking became things that I wanted to do. I want to do that, both of them. And I have done so, which makes me a very lucky person. So when Marcia asked me, you know, pick one or the other, I said, I'm not going to pick. You know, it's both. I always knew that I wanted to do both.
Can you think of one thing that has greatly influenced? In other words, for me, it's Kirsten Flagstad.
Well, I had an individual as a choral instructor in high school who was a remarkable woman. And had it not been for her, I probably wouldn't be a musician. Now, I am no singer. You know, my medium is the French horn. But she was quite an influence.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an occasion where the chorale that I sung with in high school did a performance at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia. And the day after that performance was big change of direction in my life. I had no idea what I was getting into. I had no idea how to achieve it. I just knew I wanted to do it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, the second question is, when you are in the act of doing what you do, now this also could be as a musician, as a horn player, or as a woodworker, what does it feel like in the body center when things are going very well? When everything's going well, what does that feel like, the sensation in your body center?
You know, when I left New York, I actually thought that my performing career was done, and there have been other opportunities here in Santa Fe, and I'm glad to have had them. And I realized that I do enjoy the physical sensation of playing the instrument. That doesn't mean I enjoy the physical sensations of performing in front of people. I don't think I've ever really made my friends with performing publicly. That's always been something of a difficulty with me. But I do like the sensation of producing the sound and comparing it to yesterday and yesterday and yesterday. Yes, this is going well. Oh, I've got to touch base with some other factor. That's just part of my life. It's something like eating breakfast. It's just part of the day that you go through, and I'm pleased to still be in touch with that. And when it is working well, and there's a critical element, you can't lie to yourself about these things. When it truly is working well, which means putting something into the effort, it's very satisfying to achieve that day after day after day. But I have to accept that it's not going to be there automatically. I've got to work for it. I'm okay with that.
Lovely. So, Scott, what does the world need to know about your art form? Why more? I should put it more succinctly. Why is it important for your art form to be in the world? And you can speak generically, between music and the world. Why does the world need you and what you're doing?
What I do is that I am doing this is not the least bit important. But there are many forms of artistic creativity, whether it's literature, acting, dancing, this, that, or the other thing. And I think for every person, there's going to be some medium. It could be opera, it could be a play, it could be a book, it could be poetry, who knows, that is going to resonate with that person who may not be in one of these creative fields. And if the arts are important, it's so that a person in whatever life can find this medium which might somehow resonate with him or her and help them get through their life. A digression here. You do something professionally day after day after day, you go to work. And at work, you'll find people who will complain. And, musicians, think about it. Do you really want to complain when you go to work? I mean, do you want to work at a gas station? Do you want to work at, you name it? How many things could you be doing? How many things could you, to put it bluntly, could you have been condemned to do to keep body, soul, and family together? And you're getting to play music. And maybe it isn't exactly everything in every way that you wanted, but still compare that. And this is what the arts do for people. So, what you do, look, you never know who is in your audience and what it might mean to them. In my 20s, I was playing with a woodwind quintet that was in residence at the University of Delaware. We had concerts all over the state. If you know anything about southern Delaware and that peninsula that lies between the Delaware and Chesapeake Bay, it's very remote. And I was doing a concert down there. I was 23, 24, and a man who at that time would have been well into his 70s came up. He was almost in tears, and he said, "This is the first concert I have ever heard in my life." A woodwind quintet concert, mind you, but it moved him. You have no idea what you are doing and how what you are doing might affect some person in that audience tonight. And I think that I was pretty good about keeping that in mind during my own career, and I would strongly suggest it for anybody. That performance that you're doing tonight, you don't know who is in your audience and what this might mean for them. And that's the importance of what a person in a creative field does. What you are doing is touching somebody, and you might not even ever know about it, but it happens.
Scott Temple, thank you for sharing your creative imperative.